you do really good writing for all the platforms that you do.
Thank you. Yeah.
But writing is kind of going down the mountain, and digital is kind of going up the mountain, if that reference makes sense. Welcome to episode 288 of Empty the Bench here on the Empty the Bench podcast network. He's Zain Bando. I'm Nick Morgasen. Follow us on social media at ETB Sports, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at ETB Sports. Follow the Empty the Bench podcast network, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at ETB Network. Make sure you follow our YouTube channel, youtube.com/ETB Network. Make sure you like and subscribe. We are over 1,020 subscribers now, so please help us grow on that YouTube subscriber journey. If you can't watch on the video side, listen to Empty the Bench wherever you get your podcasts. All audio podcasting platforms available, so you have your choice there. And Empty the Bench is presented by Playback, playback.tv/ETB Network. Doing a lot on there. We just got NFL Red Zone, which is now confirmed for the whole entire season. So come watch the NFL with us now. We're also going to be doing WNBA playoffs, baseball, all that stuff. Make sure you tune in later on in the show to hear a message from Playback. Okay. We got a lot to get into this week. A lot of NFL. We're going to get into college football. We're going to get into the massive fight that happened this past weekend, which was a great card. The timing of it was not so great. No. But we're going to get into the card, which had a lot of fascinating details to it. There were no issues on Netflix for a change, which was nice. But first of all, Zan, how are we doing?
We're doing good. We're a few days out from my birthday, so that's exciting. What else is there that's going on? Overall, things are good. It's been, I guess, a good start to the week. My alma mater in college football is still undefeated. They have a huge game coming up this Saturday night under the lights in Bloomington on NBC, which should have been the college game day game, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But that should be exciting. And overall, I think it should be a good show. And I'd say overall, things are pretty status quo. It was a pretty good weekend. Watched a lot of stuff and tried to digest it all. And overall, I'm looking forward to, not only the rest of this week, but of course this show. And then for those of you looking for Bando's Breakdowns episode 60, you'll be getting that later this week. Episode 60 is going to be a wild ride, if I would say so myself. So if you haven't, if you're anticipating it, it's only a few days away. So there's a lot of exciting stuff on the way for sure.
Yeah, so make sure you tune into that. But here we go, right off the bat. We all know where we're going to start. We're going to start with the Canelo-Crawford recap. I was telling Zan before the episode started, I feel like there was too much pageantry, again, being on Netflix. I know what they were trying to go for. First of all, and I think you told me this before, that Mario Lopez, who was the host on Netflix, you said he is a boxing guy. I think he even hosts a boxing podcast, if I'm not mistaken either.
He does. I'm blanking on where it is, but I think he does. Yeah.
But I feel like he was kind of misplaced as a host for this a little bit. I wish they would have someone who was like one of the big boxing anchor type people doing it. I think that would have been better.
Well, they did. They just weren't in the lead role.
I don't know. That was confusing to me a little. But all in all, I thought the coverage was very well done. There were no tech issues, which was nice.
Yeah, minus there was a small 10-second audio outage for me, but that was about it.
Yeah, you had the 10-second audio. I don't even remember any outages on my side at all, to be clear. But I think the one thing that people are going to complain, before we get into the positives of it, the card took too long. I think
way too long.
It took 5 hours to do 4 fights. I mean,
yeah,
that's ridiculous, right?
It is, and in the UFC, you never see that. You see a minimum of 3 hours and 30 minutes a pay-per-view, never 5 hours. It's all you always know every time you watch a UFC event that the main event is going to be between 11:30 and midnight Central, which which means it's always going to be between 12:30 and 1 a.m. Eastern every single time. But that's standard because every UFC event for pay-per-view at least begins at 10 p.m. Eastern. So people are like, um, people are used to that from a viewing habit perspective. Boxing, they have not figured out the pacing part of this yet. I mean, that's now another major boxing event that I've sat through that has took too long. Fury Usyk, both of those fights, those events combined took 7 hours each. Too long.
That's
Ngannou
insane.
versus Ngannou versus Fury took all day. It took almost 10 hours to get through to get through 12 fights. Boxing does not have pacing figured out as opposed to MMA, which clearly does. MMA could pick up some things and clean some things up, but boxing clearly does not have it together. And Canelo-Crawford was another example of it. And I'm sure that first-time boxing viewers that had never watched a major boxing event, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be turned away for good because of this if they think that that's the standard, which is really unfortunate because that fight was so big and there was so much hype surrounding it that if you just want to, which we'll get into in just a second, if you just want to talk about the fight itself, if people were first time boxing viewers and only really focused on the fight itself and not any of the outside distractions, I think you're going to get some routine people. But the pacing of the event, if that was something that was turning people away and saying, "Oh, I'm not going to watch another one because of how bad the pacing was," I don't really blame them. To be
I mean,
honest with you,
here's what I would say also. So I had Netflix. So I was actually looking forward. I watched the whole card, which is the first time in a long time that, excuse me, I sat and I watched all the fights while I was doing other stuff on my computer. But I watched all the fights. Um, but there was way too much going on between each fight. All the like the mariachi bands and all the music and the walkouts took too long. And at one point I was getting like a little too distracted by all the stuff on screen that was going on out there. And I'm like, when is the fight just gonna start already?
that's what Twitter was complaining about. Like, just to give you some perspective, I'm not going to have the times approximate, but let me just give you a ballpark. The Callum Walsh Fernando Vargas fight, which was the fight before Canelo Crawford, that ended. There had to be a 35-minute delay between that fight ending and the main event starting, which was just inexcusable.
Why is that? Do
Absolutely
you know?
inexcusable. I have no clue. No clue at all.
Was it all the buildup? Like, I know sometimes, if I remember from the Fury Usyk, like they did like a huge buildup package, and they did all this stuff. Was because if I remember correctly, for this too, didn't they have a small buildup package before the
They
main
did.
event?
They did.
So I'm trying to remember, but they had to do all the dramatic walkouts where they put the lights down and they give you the light rings in the crowd.
Like I think it was a mistake. I don't know about you, but I think there was a mess up production wise because it didn't make sense to me that the mariachi band was playing and and then Crawford was the one walking out and
Yeah,
not.
that made I was kind of confused by that
Did you
slightly.
did you did you notice that?
I was a little confused because like I see him walking out and
I thought that was a mistake. I'm like, there's no way this can't be right.
well, and you saw him with the half rise smile as he was
Yeah, yeah,
walking
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah.
I
Exactly.
thought that was maybe slightly because of the music. Maybe I don't know, but I know Crawford has that personality in him partially where he likes to kind of egg people on at times, but just watch it. It took too long for them to walk out.
Okay. So I have the approximate time.
Okay.
According to Awful Announcing, the last undercard fight wrapped up at 12:16 a.m. Eastern.
12:16 a.m. Eastern. The last fight on the before the main event.
Correct. Walsh Vargas ended at 12:16 a.m. Eastern.
That's insane. That's insane. Like
It
now,
was okay. Listen to this. In between 12:16 a.m. and the main event, viewers were treated to footage of various celebrities in attendance, a
yep,
few minutes of conversation between Mario Lopez and Mark Wahlberg, which actually was pretty cool because Wahlberg was able to present the belt. I thought that was cool. And then 5 minutes of ads, mostly from Cash App, DraftKings, and title sponsor Riyadh Season. And
right.
then it goes on to explain. Then because it's awful announcing, they go on to explain what Riyadh season is briefly. But basically, the point is that there was so much that happened in that 30-minute span that the fight just started too late. It's as simple. It's as simple as that.
It didn't
If they
start till
really,
1 a.m.
if they
Right?
really wanted to keep viewers engaged, they would have started that fight like minutes after Walsh beat Vargas, which is what I thought they were going to do.
Well, I
As
think
did everyone.
I think the mistake they made also is because like you and I were trying to look up like what the numbers were for the card, and the total number they claim, now this is Netflix claiming because we don't have an official number, but they,
Netflix is claiming what 44 million watched it or
41,
something?
41,
41. Okay.
and they said that almost 37 million watched the main event. Now
Which is pretty good.
that is really good,
It's a
but
huge number.
I bet you would have gotten almost everybody if you didn't cause a half an hour delay in the middle of it, waiting for the main event.
I
I think
agree. Was there a point where you thought about turning it off?
yes, because I just like I'm looking up at the clock and I'm like, it's almost 1 a.m. Eastern time here in New York. And I'm like, are we getting a fight? And I already know myself, like I'm not gonna miss the fight because it's the biggest fight of the year.
Yeah.
So I already was planning on staying up anyway, but I was getting tired a little bit. Like,
My buddy, I was with a buddy of mine, and he looks over at me and he goes, Zan, you watch every UFC event. Do UFC fights start this way? And I'm like, no way. No way.
I mean, I don't care how big the card is. Like, I'm going to be curious to see, and when we get closer to the card, I'm sure we'll talk about it. But think about the timing and the pacing of the White House card,
That's going to be fascinating. Like
because
actually, that actually might be one of the biggest sports media stories of the whole year. Is the pacing of that one event?
we might, you might do a whole video just on that alone,
I
depending
might.
on because how long are they going to do the pop up circumstance, knowing that there's going to be massive celebrities
They're gonna do
there?
well, no. They're gonna if I were to make a prediction, they'll do what they did for the Sphere, where the prelims are gonna be nothing great in terms of like production, and as soon as the main card starts, it's gonna be just like the Sphere.
Because
That,
I
that's
I
my
saw the video that you talked about on BB that the guy that he was talking about how the card walkouts were going to be, and like that they're going to walk out of the
the Oval
whatever
Office.
Oval Office they said, and I
Yeah.
said, do you realize how much time and effort that's going to take to do all that?
Oh
Like
yeah.
I could see, unfortunately, I could see that being like a 5, 6, 7 hour card,
I
depending on how that goes.
I think so too.
And
Unfortunately.
some people are going to be very mad because they're going to want to watch it. Now, I did hear that that will probably be on TV as part of the new deal, so you won't have to worry about like Netflix or any of this
No. It would be on regular
CBS.
CBS linear.
So maybe that will entice more people to watch because it'll be on TV and not turn it
Which
off.
would be pretty interesting.
I think numbers are going to be bigger
I think it's gonna be an MMA style production that would be like not to the extent of it. So hopefully people don't come after me for saying this, but hopefully they do it in sort of like a final four pomp and circumstance way, but for combat sports.
There's one thing I beg, and I think you know what I'm going to say.
Okay.
Enough of the pageantry. Just like I think that's what makes all these cards too long, in my opinion. Like, can you pan around in the crowd and show the celebrities? Yes. But there are times when they just take too much of it. And by the way, what bothers me most about the Netflix cards,
I'm
the
sure I'm sure to an extent one of the reasons why he didn't show up is because he probably didn't have an answer. This is Dana not showing up at the post-fight press
Yeah.
conference, by the way. I think one of the reasons why he didn't show up is because he probably didn't even have a concrete answer as to why the event took so long.
Well, because he might have been helping, but he was not the one technically putting the production on.
No.
That's what people think, just because Dana was involved with the boxing promotion, that he was involved with the production. The production and the promotion are two different things. So
exactly. There
but
were UFC elements on the broadcast,
I saw that.
like the music they used between fights. That's like what I'm used to. But no, not everything I think was controlled by him, as far as I know.
Because I don't know if he would have put in all that music.
No,
This was music overkill, in my opinion. I think.
agree.
Just looking at some of the other stuff, like I thought Max Kellerman was a little awkward during the broadcast too.
Fair enough.
Especially at the end.
I thought Andre Ward did a good job, though.
He did a really good job. I think he handled his spot well, analyzing the fight. And who was that guy they kept going to during the fight?
Oh, the guy with the scorecard?
No. You heard his voice in the background. He must have been right around the cage.
No, but that was the unofficial scorecard guy, though. That was Skipper Kelp.
I liked him. He was funny. I thought he added some personality.
That's one of Dana's childhood friends, actually.
He added some personality to the broadcast. I thought he was really good.
Yeah.
It was also
then the guys at the desk too. Mark Regal did a good job.
I like Anik.
Did a good job.
I like Anik. Anik will always be my favorite.
I know you do. He was a rising sports media personality on Front Office Sports. His most recent list. He made the list.
He's like everywhere now, between the UFC and calling the big boxing matches. But I thought it was also funny, and I don't know if they were doing this on purpose during the broadcast or not. But I asked you, I don't know if you remember me asking you this, but at one point, like all of a sudden they say 6-1 Crawford at one point while they were doing the fight.
Yeah, that was there were some whacked out scorecards.
Because I had
it 8-4 Crawford.
Because I don't know how that works 100%. I'm still learning that, but like at one point, like Max and who was the other guy that was sitting next to him doing the analysis?
Oh, Andre Ward.
Him and Ward were just like going off on Canelo, saying like he was losing the fight like in a massive way.
He was losing, but it wasn't by that lopsided of a margin.
I mean, Crawford hit him pretty well quite a few times. Like that's the first time I've ever seen Canelo get a little flustered inside
the first and only time.
Because what is it? They've only lost 2 combined matches between the two of them.
That's correct, because Canelo was, I think he was 62-2 or 63. Yeah, 62-2, and Canelo was Crawford was 41-0 going in. So,
and by the way, is it true that Crawford is like 38 years old?
That's correct.
That guy looks like he's 30 or less. Like the way he was moving.
Shape. Yeah.
I mean, it looked like he flustered. This is me. You would know better, but he looked like he flustered Canelo early.
He did. Then Canelo started to pick it up late, and he knew he needed a knockout, but he couldn't get it, and that was the huge culprit. Was he just wasn't able to find the right openings later in the fight to catch Crawford.
I also think Crawford was doing a good job avoiding some of the big hits too.
No, he was doing an excellent job. He fought very defensively Saturday night, and he used his movement really well, and he picked his shots really well. It was an overall really good performance. He did what nobody had been able to do to Canelo for a decade plus, which was make Canelo fight the other opponent's fight.
It was also weird. Now, I don't know if you noticed this. It felt like a hopping fest inside the ring a little bit between the two of them, like where they're just constantly moving around the ring.
Yeah, that's common in most boxing matches, though.
But it felt like a lot. Like it just felt like Crawford was he trying to purposely move Canelo around the ring a lot or no?
I would say so, yeah.
Because I don't know, that I feel like that wouldn't tire Canelo out unless you thought it would. But I'm just
I'm
trying
not
to.
I'm not sure either way, but what I can tell you is this: he did things to Canelo that no one had ever done to him before.
I mean, the hits were massive, some of them,
Mm-hmm.
and I think he just, like you said, played better defense, and that kept him in going longer.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at some of the other fights, I can you explain to me the split draw, because I thought that was interesting. By the way,
So that means that one judge has it for one fighter, the other judge has it for the other fighter, and then the middle judge has it a regular draw.
how rare is a split draw?
Super rare. Super rare.
Because it's not like you're talking to the other people scoring the fight, are
No.
you?
Nope. Nobody has any idea until the decision gets read who won, unless it's a knockout.
But you're saying that is literally full on coincidence that the scoring
Oh,
happened that way.
100%. Yeah. That was not an on purpose thing or anything like that.
That fight was actually really good. I watched that whole fight. That fight looked like it was punch for punch, the whole fight.
It was a great fight.
I think, in my opinion, I thought that was the best undercard fight. I feel like competitively, like no one had a full on edge. I
You're
feel like,
talking about the Mobility fight, right?
yes, I thought that
Yep.
fight was the most even fight
A,
of
a
the
lot
entire.
of people agree with you. So you're not the you're not the only one.
Like, don't get me wrong, Callum Walsh was kind of fun to watch fight. By the way,
Yeah, you had never watched him, right?
I think it might have been the second time I've seen him fight,
Okay.
but he was just a fun
Oh,
guy to
right,
watch.
because I made you watch him on Fight Pass. I remember.
Yeah,
Now.
but
Yeah,
Callum's
yeah,
an
yeah.
interesting guy to watch fight.
Yeah, he's fun. Yeah, I like him a lot. And the guy Vargas, the guy we fought is a stud. He was 17-0. I thought that fight was going to be really interesting.
And then what was the first fight had a fascinating story behind it too. Crawford, the other Crawford.
Yeah, Ken
He's
Crawford.
he's heading. Is he the one heading to the military?
Yeah.
So basically, this was almost like last legs for him in a sense, kind of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like they were saying, like, oh well, is he going to go if he wins? Which he didn't end up winning, but they said if he wins, what were you going to do? I'm assuming he was going to go do the military
I would
service
assume so.
anyway.
Well, I don't know for sure, but I would assume that.
And then I forgot who was the one that did the construction before he became the fighter. Did you see that storyline?
Yeah.
I forgot who it was, but they said like that they basically were building stadiums or helping as part of the stadiums. But there was overall, I thought there were a lot of good storylines on this card, and if they could just shorten it down a little, that would help, and it would make it much easier to watch. Because boxing is actually, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I think boxing sometimes is a little more interesting to watch than the UFC
It
at
can
times.
be. Are you talking about Achilles, the other guy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to double check
Yeah.
because I just pulled it up. So
But I thought overall the card was great. The timing was just terrible. Pacing was bad.
I agree. So I have to ask you these questions before we move on because it would be a disservice if I didn't ask it.
Okay.
So the big talk around this fight in the aftermath of it is potentially whether or not if Terrence Crawford and or Canelo decide to retire. So I'm going to ask you, do you think either of them decide to retire, or do you think that they would entertain a rematch if the money was there?
So I did read, I think they said this was the fourth largest gate of all time. I think they said. Um,
Third.
oh, okay. It was either the third or the fourth. Okay, third.
Third, along with Mayweather McGregor and Mayweather Pacquiao.
I think they said it was close to what, $47 million at the gate or
Yeah, like
something.
47.8 or something.
So it was a lot of money. So
Mhm.
I'll tell you right now, if this was strictly a money thing, there would be a rematch in seconds. I'll tell you that right now. To be honest, and I heard Canelo say it to Max because I always find it awkward when they interview both in the main event after the fight is over. I don't know why, but I feel bad when the loser gets interviewed after like the big main event fight. But Canelo, by the way, I have to give a lot of respect to Canelo because he handles himself very well, win or loss, in that scenario. But I think, if I remember correctly, Max was asking him, like, are you going to fight again? Or do you plan on? And I think he basically talked about being an ambassador for the sport. Like, that was his biggest MO, to keep the sport moving and getting more people into it. So if that's the case, I think you will see him fight at least one more time. I don't know if it'll be against Crawford, but would I want to see a rematch? Hell yeah, I want to see a rematch. I think it was a really good fight. It just seemed like Canelo was a little underprepared for the fight this time around.
Interesting.
But I also think Crawford had a lot to prove, because I heard you guys say it on Outsiders, and I heard a lot of people across social media and the MMA media, like, people were dogging him, like, in the like on the betting line too. Like, he was a real dog in this fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did that make any sense to you or no?
That he was an underdog?
Yeah.
No, it did not. Nope.
Because I said to I jokingly said to Zain before the fight, I said, what do I have to lose throwing $10 on Crawford at like plus 130 or plus 140?
And you won.
And I won because I just thought Crawford was raring to go. He was looking to prove people wrong, right?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Because everyone said, "Oh, this is like basically Canelo's going to run away with the fight." That was like the reputation that was going around.
Yep.
And I said, "No." I said, Crawford has basically been training for this fight for probably months, almost. And
I would argue a year, because he hadn't fought in a year.
that's true. You're right. And I said, I feel like Crawford's going to win this fight. And like, if you're going to,
Crawford had less pressure on him because Canelo is the big star with all the fame and fortune. And besides the boxing pundits, none of the mainstream media was giving Crawford any time of day in the way that they would for Canelo. So the pressure was basically off him.
yeah, that was terrible. Whoever did that, like, I don't 100% get that, but at the same time, I think like Crawford fed off that really well. I think like,
so too.
and he went in there saying, "What do I have to lose? I'm just going to give I'm going to empty the tank during the Canelo fight," and that's what he did.
Exactly. Yep.
So I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to ask about the fight or anything, but
Well, no, I just want to make a quick comment that I was disappointed in the fact that there didn't seem to be a ton of closure to the event, considering that we only heard from Callum Walsh, Crawford, and Canelo, and none of the major stakeholders post fight. It was a little disappointing.
and I know I'm going to get the name wrong, but who's the leader from the country?
Turkey Al-Sheikh.
I felt like he was a little awkward during the event, a
You
little
think
bit,
so?
just a little. And also a buffer during the main event when he was announcing the event. It felt really awkward, like where he had to announce, like, "Oh, we got to make sure we thank the leaders from Turkey," and like I felt like that was very forced, a little.
He's so used to doing it now with Riyadh season, though, that it's like
It's
old
almost like
hat to
second
him.
nature to him.
Yeah.
By the way,
He has to do it.
I give him a lot of credit, by the way, for doing the multi-language too,
Yeah,
because
he's really good at it.
that's hard.
Yeah, that
People
is.
don't understand how hard that actually is.
Oh, for sure.
But he's always great. I think he does a really good job, like pushing the crowd into all the fights.
I think so too.
So overall, I thought it was a good card. I thought it was too long. I think Dana made a mistake not showing up to the post presser. Also,
It was very disappointing.
Why not add more to the attention, knowing that you were partially responsible for helping put the fight together for your boxing promotion? I mean,
That's a good point.
but too much pageantry, too many celebrities, but the fight card overall was great. And they really did not need to show Mr. Beast 1,000 times. That annoyed me too.
They really didn't.
Well, did you see the awkward thing that he did with Tyson on social media?
Yeah, that was weird.
That was fake, by the way. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Because he acted like he took a punch to the gut from Mike Tyson.
Yeah. Obviously, it was just for social media.
Because if that was real, Mr. Beast would not be standing up. I'm just going to say that now.
No, I don't think so either.
By the way, I do have to say, like, bravo to Mr. Beast because he was on the Brazil NFL game doing all that promotion stuff. He was part of doing stuff for Netflix with Tyson, with all this stuff. It just goes to show you that you really don't need TV people anymore. You need digital influencers now to grow an audience.
No, you're right. Andy was sitting in the front row with
Dana and Al Sheik.
with Dana, Al Sheik, and Jason Statham of all people.
Well, I heard Statham is actually a boxing fan, though.
Yeah, he is.
So at least Statham is a boxing fan. I don't know if Mr. Beast is a boxing fan or a UFC fan. I have no idea.
I have no idea either.
But like some of the celebs that were there, like I've heard Wahlberg is a boxing fan. I've heard that.
Is. And he played Mickey Ward in The Fighter. If you haven't seen The Fighter,
yes, I heard about it.
You should watch it. It's a good movie.
The one last thing I'll say, because we're taking a lot of time on this, is they tried way too hard to over promote Netflix stuff on the card.
It was too overwhelming.
At times, like, because they kept, I forgot who they showed right off the bat who was sitting by the ring over there, but it was a big name celebrity. I don't remember who.
I don't remember who it was either, but it was some star of some
huge star. Show. I couldn't remember who, but like, you could clearly tell they're promoting every freaking Netflix thing they can get their hands on.
Right.
But, all right, I'll leave it there because we could spend 3 hours on this card. But if you want my overall grade, I'll say it's like a B plus ish.
I give it a solid B.
I would give it an A if it wasn't for the pacing. If the pacing was better, I probably would have given it an A minus. But I would say overall solid B to B plus.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much it on that card. When is the next big thing we're looking forward to? Boxing or anything in that regard, or are we on hold for that right now?
Oh, for boxing, MMA, or both?
I guess like a Canelo-Crawford type. Is there anything coming up?
Oh, on the boxing side, not really. I mean, unless you want to count Jake Paul versus Tank Davis. But
don't even get me started with that.
And then the next big UFC fight is the Pereira Ankalaev rematch on October 4th. That's the next big UFC fight.
Talk about someone who was here, like all the way up and dropped completely.
I know. It's so disappointing.
But I'll save that for another day. Empty the Bench is presented by Playback. Watching sports is more fun with others, but we spend too much of our time watching alone. Playback is a virtual space where communities can stream live sports together with everyone perfectly synced up. Creators can hop on stage, deliver their own play-by-play analysis and commentary, and invite viewers up for Q&A. Playback makes watching sports fully interactive and a social experience. From playing fantasy sports, repping your favorite players and teams, and watching with the commentators and communities you care about. Win or lose, sports are best enjoyed together. Join our community by going to playback.tv/ETB network to find out more, including our live stream schedule. And now back to the show. Let's move on. Obviously, the big story in the NFL. We'll move to the NFL because we have a lot of NFL to get to. Obviously, the Joe Burrow injury, the turf toe with torn ligaments.
Brutal. Absolutely brutal. After 2 weeks of no disrespectful Bengals slander, the Bengals can't catch a break. Unbelievable.
And they won.
And they still won.
By the way, I got to give credit to Jake Browning, by the way, who seems to somehow get into the spotlight every single time Joe Burrow gets hurt and manages to bring the team back. And even though they won, the Jaguars lost this game. I'm just going to say that now. Don't get me wrong. The Bengals had to get the ball back and drive. But that's 2 games in a row where the opponents blew the game against the Bengals. I mean, I don't know. Am I wrong for thinking that way or no?
No. But this one, I think, was even worse than week 1.
Well, yeah, because the Browns field goal kicker got cut for missing 2 field goals that would have won the game last week.
I know.
And by the way, Trevor Lawrence had a really good game in this game too. And ETN had a really good game. It looked like he's finally running healthy for the first time in a while.
Yeah, this was a fantasy football owner's delight for some of the key stars we just mentioned,
But
potentially, if you had any of them.
but the
But
Burrow
yeah,
injury is brutal because if you look at that, and I'm trying to just pull up their schedule really quick because I want to see.
it's bad.
I have it here. Okay. So they go to Minnesota, which, by the way, they might have a chance of winning that game, considering now that JJ McCarthy, which we'll get to, is hurt. But that's going to be a tough game. Then they go to Denver, which, by the way, Denver, holy cow, the way they lost. We'll get to that in a little bit.
That was insanity.
Then they have a bunch of tough games. Then they play Detroit at home and Green Bay on the road. Those are going to be tough. But Detroit looks bad too, though. So they could win some of these games with Jake Browning, but Jake Browning is never going to be the full answer.
But say who they have coming up again, like in a row.
So this coming week they go to Minnesota.
Okay.
Then on the road to Denver on ABC.
Okay, I think they're 1-1 through 2 games of that stretch. Then what?
Then they play Detroit at home, but who knows? Detroit's a huge wild card right now, though.
Yeah, we don't know where Detroit. Let's just say for argument's sake, because the Bengals are at home, the Bengals lose a close game because let's face it, Jared Goff is a better quarterback than Jake Browning,
and Jake Browning's going to get exposed at some point. Right. I feel like,
and it may end up being that game. You never know.
Right, and then at Green Bay, I just think they're going to get destroyed.
Oh, they'll get killed,
especially with no Joe Burrow. I mean, right. And then they play Pittsburgh.
Where's the game at?
At home.
I think the Steelers win, but it's like a weird ending.
Aaron Rodgers did not look good this past week either. We'll get to that.
Are we in October by this point in the schedule?
Yes. Yeah, you were in October by the time Detroit came.
Okay.
Then they have the Jets, which
they should win that game.
But will they? Who knows?
Right, exactly.
Then they play the Bears. This is November now.
Where's the Bears game at?
It's a home game for Cincinnati.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't even know where the Bears will be by that point in the season.
I'm kind of terrified. Like, there's so many injuries, which we'll get to, but the Joe Burrow injury is going to derail the Bengals season. I
think so too. I think you can say with certainty you can put a check mark next to possibly eliminated teams. They would be my check mark.
They're talking about him being out until what? Like most of December, they're saying?
Which is really bad.
That's pretty much the whole season. No? Yeah. So
basically, just like the Jalen Johnson injury for the Bears.
I saw that too. But I don't know if you saw the awkward video during the Bengals game. Do you know that the Bengals are the only team that don't have the big tractor or whatever that they use to get players from the field to the locker room?
I did not know that. No.
So he literally was hopping most of the way to get to the back of the locker room.
What?
Yeah, there's videos of it out on social media. But this was the weirdest thing ever. The guy has a foot injury. And he's hopping, essentially, like they're holding him up and he's like hopping around. Like his foot is bare. He has no sock on. He's walking around. They finally, after they did all the evaluation, he's walking around on one of those where you kneel on it, like a one-legged like kneel thing so he could walk. But
right.
I think their season is over. Now that, first of all, like I said in the previews, I didn't think they were going to make the playoffs just because that offensive line was going to get him killed. And look what happened. It got him killed again.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you would consider this the most significant injury of the season so far.
I'd say so because it's a starting quarterback.
But I don't know. It's brutal.
A
I mean,
starting quarterback going down in the second week in September, like I mean, you can't get as bad as that. I mean, I don't want to say it's the equivalent of when Aaron Rodgers got hurt a couple years ago, but it's one of those where he's a starting quarterback and he's out. That's a big deal.
right. And we're going to get into it now because let's talk about week 2 just because we're talking about the Burrow injuries. We were watching on Red Zone on Playback. Did you see how many touchdowns there was in the first window?
I don't know how many there were, but it seemed like there were a lot.
I think at one point they said it was like 60 touchdowns in the first window.
Wow, that's insane.
We saw so many touchdowns like that. We like Scott Hansen was having trouble keeping up at one point. That's how many.
Oh my gosh.
It was such a crazy atmosphere that was going on. But just looking at some of the games going all the way back, Thursday Night Football was not a surprise. Packers won against the Commanders. And now Jaden Daniels is probably going to be out a week or two, according to, I think he's got a sprained ankle, they were saying.
Mm-hmm.
So add that to the list of quarterback injuries. Now, I don't know who they're playing this week. We'll do that in the Sunday slates.
Who are you asking about?
Who the Commanders are playing this week.
Oh, okay.
But that was I knew the Packers were going to win that game fair and square. They're just the better team.
Commanders have the Raiders this week at home.
God, wait a minute. So you're going to have the backup for the Commanders going against Geno Smith.
Yeah.
That's going to be a terrible game.
Yeah. I know well, I actually can say this because unfortunately I won't be on the episode this week, but don't be surprised if that's one of my total predictions this week going.
Oh,
go like this.
I'm so going to be looking at the under for whatever that game is. I just think it's going to be a nightmare. But yeah, so that I knew that game. We all knew, except for the two Bears fans, not you. That refused to pick the Packers to win.
See, the reason why I'm picking the Packers is because I want to do really well in the picks competition.
Yeah, me too. Like
it's no slight at me being a Bears fan or anything. I just want to earn as many points as I can.
It annoyed. And I'm joking more when I say this, but like I said, Grant, Michael, you can't pick the Commanders. Come on, you know the Packers are better. Nope, not picking the Packers. And I'm like,
and the Packers are at home. It's a dead giveaway. They don't lose at home. Come on, guys. It's the actual TV.
Micah Parsons' first game coming out with a vengeance. Come on. I mean,
100%.
It is what it is. We just talked about this, but Bengals Jaguars. The Jaguars should have won that game. They should have won that game. It just didn't happen. There's not much more you can really say about it, right?
No, not really.
And then obviously the biggest thriller of the day, which no one expected. The Giants-Cowboys game.
That game was crazy.
And that game, first of all, now I don't know if I'm the only one who had the opinion of this. I thought the Giants should have gone for 2 when they scored, rather than kicking the extra point to give them a 3-point lead.
Because if they go for 2, that puts them up 4?
4. And then they have to score a touchdown to win. They have to
score a touchdown. Therefore, the potential game-tying field goal never
means
happens.
Nothing. Right.
Therefore, overtime never happens. Therefore,
Correct.
The Giants probably win.
Correct.
Well,
and
yeah, you're not wrong. That's a pretty good logic.
But I do understand at the same time what happens if you miss the 2-point conversion. And then
you miss the 2-point conversion, you're screwed even more.
That's the point. That's why
because then wouldn't the scenario then be that all Dallas has to do is win with a field goal?
That's what I think the Giants were thinking. That
okay.
I think I would have said go for 2. What do you have to lose there? But I guess the Giants were like, at least if they first of all,
they beat themselves. They should have never been in that position to begin with. They had the lead.
Right. That's the point I'm trying to make. And by the way, Brandon Aubrey is a hell of a kicker.
He's
By the way,
ridiculous.
he had a 64-yard field goal to tie that game in regulation.
Insanity.
So that guy, I think he got player of the game for that game. That's how insane he was.
He might get NFC Player of the Week.
I think he hit 4 field goals and 3 of them were high 50s. I think.
Right.
So the Giants kind of beat themselves in that game, to be quite honest. So now they're 0-2, and we all know the stat about starting 0-2 in a season. It pretty much kills you.
Yeah, well, don't remind the Chiefs that.
Actually, don't remind the Giants that either. They started 0-2 and won the Super Bowl, didn't they?
Yeah, in 2011, I think.
So, but in today's day and age, starting 0-2 is like death. I feel like. Obviously,
the same can be said about the Bears. The Bears are 0-2 also.
Well, I was just going to bring that up. So, I mean, the Lions, I think, were a little angry in this game, just a bit.
Oh, this was a payback game. If anything, this was a you're coming to our place. You were one of our guys. You left. Let's see what a punch in the mouth feels like. And
that's exactly you hit the nail on the head. Like, and by the way, Jameson Williams had a game. Like,
he's a beast. He's so good.
I mean, holy cow! Like him and Amon St. Brown had the game of all games. Like you said it earlier before, the stars of the NFL came out this week, fantasy wise. Big time,
ridiculous.
And so
he was putting up video. I don't even have him in fantasy, but I was looking at some people who did. He was putting up video game numbers.
That's yeah. I mean, 9 receptions, 115 yards, 3 touchdowns. I mean, I was like, holy cow!
No, what I was gonna say, he probably single-handedly won people their week.
Yeah.
By himself.
Yeah. That was like me last week, where Lamar and Zay Flowers won me my fantasy league on Sunday night, even though the Ravens lost.
Oh, speaking of winning your fantasy league, that was a good game. Shout out to Bijan Robinson.
What pissed me off though is, and we'll get to this game because I actually had both starting running backs in the big game that everyone's talking about. But before we get there. The Rams took care of the Titans. We all knew, but that game was close. If I'm not mistaken, the Titans were leading 13-10 at the half.
That's right.
That was a shocking score. But again, the result is not shocking by any means.
Not even close. Nope.
But Patriots Dolphins. Can we talk about that one for a second?
Well, you and I nailed it. We both said the exact same thing was going to happen this Sunday down in Miami. And New England scored that touchdown to go ahead for good. I was so excited. I was like, yes!
What frustrated me so much is, well, I can say this now because we're getting ready to start a partnership with another sports book soon, but I was on a certain DK sports book, I will say, and I actually had a bet where I had Patriots plus 1.5, and I had the Cowboys to cover 4.5.
Oh, that's brutal.
I was
that is brutal.
Yeah, exactly. And I said to my
weren't you watching the Dallas game from a spread perspective and horror the whole game?
Yes, because we were all watching it on the Red Zone feed on Playback, and I said I was screaming in joy when the Cowboys won the coin toss in overtime because I was hoping they were going to score a touchdown to win the game on the first possession, and of course, Dak's it up as usual. I mean, but that was
a few of those spreads. In fact, if you want to go there for just 30 seconds,
I'm going to open that up. Yeah,
I was just going to say a few of those spreads screwed us this week.
I mean,
but I looked like a genius with that Steelers Seahawks over. I looked like a total genius with that.
I recovered after like the beginning, like the back half. I really recovered, but just looking at some of the numbers now, for context, we picked these games on Friday when the show airs Saturday. so the spreads might be a little different for some
I
people.
did really good in the early window, but I sucked in the late window, and
Well,
I lost the Sunday night game. Oh my goodness!
the Cardinals screwed us, and the Broncos
Oh,
screwed us.
that was a horrible beat in the Arizona game. Oh my god!
But
By the way, I saw you change it to a loss, and I literally like 10 minutes before I saw they were up by 12. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened?
they
What
lost.
happened?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was a shocking loss. Like in every way, shape, or form. Like the Broncos just kind of gave up the end of that game. But just looking at some of the other games briefly. Oh, we were talking about the Patriots Dolphins. That game was incredible. Tua had what, 315 yards, I think.
yeah,
But
exactly.
and by the way, did you see the back-to-back punt returns for a touchdown
I
in that
did.
game?
I did.
That was incredible. That was an incredible moment in that game. And I was like, please cover. Please cover. Like, so that game was interesting. And then the shocker for me was the Saints Niners. Because you and I had the under 40.5.
Yeah, I should have stuck with my original pick and just had
Oh,
the
no, no. Wait a
49ers.
minute. What did you?
What's
No,
it?
you didn't. You actually had the. Did you have the Niners under in that game or no?
I thought I won the Niners game.
Oh no, you had the -3. Okay, Johnny and I had the under, and so did Grant. I was kind of shocked at how much scoring was done in that game. To be honest, the Saints had a chance to win that game too.
I know.
Bills Jets, not surprising. Of course, with Josh Allen breaking his nose, he still manages to go back in the game and completely obliterate the New York Jets. Justin Fields is in concussion protocol, so Tyrod Taylor is going to be starting this upcoming week. The Jets are an embarrassment. Can we just admit that now?
Yeah.
There's not much else you can really say.
Nope.
Seahawks Steelers. Were you surprised by the over in that game?
No. I was ecstatic.
I think Michael had the under in that game. Or was it Ben? See if I can find that really quick. Yeah, Ben had the under 39.5. That was a little shocking to me.
I just thought the number was too low. That's
It
why
was the
took
lowest
the
number
over.
of the week.
That's why I took the over.
Were you surprised, by the way, by the forgetting of the rule on the punt?
No.
You weren't surprised?
No, I wasn't.
I mean, that cost the Steelers the game.
Yeah, I know.
How do you not forget that you have to, when the ball's in the box, you got to catch it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, but still, though, like, you go through so many fundamental things that I'm sure the first thing half of those guys are thinking about is not that. That's my point.
Obviously, and then Steelers Browns, that one was a sweat for a while on the spread. And then finally the Ravens ran away.
Yeah.
Lamar had a really good game. I mean, he had 4 touchdowns.
Right.
I don't know if anything else. Derrick Henry had another fumble. All of a sudden, he's like Butterfingers over there. I'm just looking to see if any other numbers really stood out. But the Browns are the Browns. Like, this was not a surprise. Lamar, this was a get-right game. 19 for 29, 225, 4 touchdowns, no picks. So that game was really not a surprise. Just looking through to see if there's anything. Broncos Colts, which we talked about. The Broncos just blowing away another game. Cardinals Panthers. Cardinals lost the cover at the very end there and almost blew the game. And then what did you make of Eagles Chiefs? Because everyone was talking about that.
It was a wild game.
The Eagles played really good defense in this game.
I think so too.
I have some concerns with Patrick Mahomes, though. A little bit, the way he's been playing. Did you think he looked off again?
A little bit, yeah.
and Saquon had a touchdown in this game, but I don't know. Like, first of all, the Chiefs starting 0-2. That it's not good. There's got to be
First
some
time since
panic there.
2014.
What?
First time since 2014.
It's been that long? Wow.
Yep.
Would you say there's some concerns in Kansas City?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
They got to win this week against the Giants. Otherwise, there's a real issue.
That's a
if
Sunday
they don't.
night game, right?
Yep. First time since 2002 that two below 500 teams this early in the season are headlining the Sunday night game.
That's crazy. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously we saw the Falcons Vikings. I think I underestimated how good the Falcons could be when everything is on cylinder, right?
I think so. Yeah, exactly.
Bijan Robinson looked really good. Penix didn't look so good. This was really a Bijan Robinson game, the whole game.
No, he didn't. He didn't look that good at all.
And then the Vikings, I don't know what's going on with them. And then we find out JJ McCarthy's going to be out 2 to 4 weeks. So I don't know who the backup is. It Carson Wentz? I think is the backup there.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh God. So I mean, that's pretty much week 2. I don't know. Was there anything in particular that stood out to you for week 2 before we go to look at week 3?
Nothing really. Just an exciting week overall. Be about a few of my fantasy teams, including the fantasy team in our league that I have doing really well. And I did really well straight up on NFL predictions and did halfway decent against the spread. So I can't complain.
Okay, so let's briefly, since we went along, but let's briefly look at week 3 a little bit here and take a look at the schedule. So actually, I did this out of order. Let's do the Thursday Night Football first and look at that. And what is the Thursday game? It is Miami at Buffalo.
I like the Bills this week.
Oh, I love the Bills. Love the Bills. Miami's in trouble.
I don't even know what the spread is, but it doesn't even matter. The Bills are winning that game.
As of this recording, it is minus 12.5 for the Bills.
It's a big number, but I actually like the number because of how explosive the Bills' offense is.
Especially I know James Cook had some of the hamstring issues, but again, he proved himself. He had 2 touchdowns in this game. So I'm not worried about that.
I'm not either.
I think this is going to be a rout. Regardless if it's a spread or no spread, I think they're going to win by a lot.
They should. And it's in Buffalo, right?
Yeah. It's at Orchard Park. Yeah.
They should win that.
I think Miami, I think McDaniel is no longer McGenius anymore.
I don't think so either.
I think him and Greer are going to get fired at some point during this season.
They could.
I don't understand why they're holding on to McDaniels, why they're giving him such a rope, but
because they think he's Mr. Innovative.
He's not though. He doesn't change anything.
No. I know. I'm just saying the narrative.
You're right, but I don't know. I just thought that was bizarre the way they're playing, the way they lost this past game against the Patriots was just bad. They could have won that game easily, and just did not look good. Okay, now let's look at NFL Week 3. Are there any matchups that stand out to you before I kind of look around and give you some, or no?
I think it's a must-win for the Bears this week at home against Dallas.
If I remember correctly, if we were talking about it or I was talking to the guys on the stream, they think this game is going to be a mess completely between Dallas and Chicago.
They probably told you that because you haven't spoken to me about it.
Yeah, I think they said to me on the Red Zone stream, they said they think it's going to be a giant mess, this game.
I think so too.
And interestingly enough, as of this recording, they have the Bears as a 1.5 point favorite.
Well, that's good.
So, and the over-under
is the first home day game of the season for the Bears too.
425.
Not like it really means anything, but it is an interesting note.
This spread number, the over-under number is high as of this recording already.
What is it?
49.5.
I love the under.
I love the under.
Although we thought we might we might have loved the under last week against Detroit, and the over totally smashed. So
Yeah, but Chicago also has some injuries they're trying to fight through too,
yeah,
aren't they?
especially with Jalen Johnson out,
Which is a big injury, like big time.
we could be out for the remainder of the year unless
So,
he comes back in like December or something. I don't know.
by the way, Dallas cannot finish a possession to save their lives
I know.
either. Like they get all the way downfield and then they kick field goals. That almost cost them a game against the Giants this past week.
I know.
But I don't know. So you're right. That's an interesting game. Just looking around, I think Cincinnati, Minnesota is going to be an interesting game. It's the battle of the backups.
That would be interesting.
Actually, I think that's the Nance and Romo game this week also.
It is, and we get it locally in Chicago too.
I kind of feel bad for them because they're not going to get any prominent stars, really, like from the quarterback perspective. But
No.
what else do we have here? Rams Eagles, that could be an interesting one. Let's see what else. Broncos Chargers.
Yeah.
Arizona San Francisco. The games are not great this week. I don't know if you see anything that particularly stands out, but a lot of the good games. So, like Kansas City, New York. Does anyone care about that on Sunday Night Football?
No, I don't think so.
And then this would have been a good game if everything was up to par. But Monday Night Football is Lions at the Ravens.
Yeah. Seems like a Ravens win to me. I don't know.
By the way, the early over-under for that game, 51.5.
I think I meant to say this to you a second ago. The best game in the early window is Eagles-Rams.
Yeah, that's what I think too. They have the Eagles as a 3.5 favorite as of this recording now.
I think the best game in the late window is probably Arizona-San Francisco.
I don't think you're gonna have Purdy still though.
No, but I just mean from a competitive standpoint.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Broncos Chargers could be competitive too. Yeah, some of these games are trash. Some of them.
Well, if you need a team in Survivor and you haven't used them yet, I think Seattle over the Saints is the Survivor play this week.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, even though Sam Darnold did not look good this past week.
But that's a Saints team they should beat, though, right?
You would think, but the Saints almost beat the 49ers.
I know.
Which kind of scared me, considering the 49ers have way more, even with the injuries, still have more weapons.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Survivor, I'm going to take that back. The Survivor I am picking on ESPN because I did survive thanks to you by me picking the Bills. We're still in our ESPN Survivor pool going into week 3. The Survivor I am using this week, even though it is a little early, I am picking the Packers in Survivor to beat the Browns.
I mean, I'd give you another one if you wanted it, but
what's the other idea? Because I can always change it too.
Oh, I would tell you to take Tampa against the Jets.
Okay.
Because Fields is going to be in concussion protocol and Tyrod Taylor is going to start.
Oh yeah, that's actually a good one. Hang on.
That's one. Seattle would be a decent one. I just don't know if I trust Sam Darnold right now.
Yeah, I'm actually going to switch. I'm going to switch this. You have me intrigued now.
I just think that's a no-brainer because the Jets are just not healthy. They had an injury happen also at the end of the game also, and I can't remember who it was. But I think Tampa's a no-brainer. I think this week.
I just switched it. So now we have Tampa officially as my main Survivor play of the week.
I would save the Packers like as deep as you can because they're going to be good all year.
Well, we have to remember I gotta hope I win to advance to the next week.
No, but I'm saying if I would try to hold Green Bay as deep as you possibly can because I think they're going to win a ton of games this year.
Fair enough.
So I think that's like almost like a guarantee, almost. So we'll see what happens.
By the way, if Tampa does win, it'll be the furthest I'll have ever made it in Survivor since I started playing.
Is that a money thing or is that just a pick and go?
No, there's a grand prize at the end for the winner.
Interesting. Okay, let's move.
But it's like a winner take all. or you have to hope you make it all the way to the end, kind of thing.
That's the toughest part.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let's get going because we're definitely over time here a little bit. Let's talk about some college football firings. UCLA, Virginia Tech. Now UCLA is 0-3, right?
hmm
Um,
Hang on.
what was there, a slight mistake there?
There we go. There we go.
Okay. So 0-3, UCLA. That's a big deal, right? Can't
Mhm.
start 0-3 to begin a season.
No, you can't.
And I
0
mentioned
3 with Big Ten. Excuse me. 0-3 with Big Ten play, staring them right in the right right in the you know what.
and also, and you can pronounce the quarterback name better than me, but
Nico Nico Il, Ili Ili Emi Nico Iliemiava.
easy for you to say.
He
But Nico, who had an $8 million NIL deal and basically traded it for a $1.5 million
mhm.
NIL deal, is now probably paying the price. No pun intended.
Literally. And not only is he paying the price, they've gotten smoked in their first 3 games.
Where was he originally?
Absolutely. They've lost to they've lost to UNLV, Utah, and New Mexico in no particular order.
That's bad. Um,
Not only did they lose to New Mexico this past week, they got pounded. They're
I think UCLA is in trouble, big
in
time.
big trouble.
And he talk about if you ever wanted to try to find a market for himself. Now he's not going to.
No, he won't, unfortunately. And the same can be said for Virginia Tech. Pry was coaching a sinking ship, and it was only a matter of time before they're going to show him the door. And now the big rumor is if Shane Beamer decides to leave South Carolina to coach his dad's whole team, which would just be a complete nightmare. So if people were sick of Shane Beamer now, could you imagine how sick people would be of Shane Beamer if he decided to become the new head coach at Virginia Tech?
Would you really be surprised though?
No.
Exactly. So you say it's odd, but you wouldn't be surprised if it happened. But
Oh not at all.
do you
I
find
just
it?
think I just think it's funny though that everyone's up in arms about UCLA, but nobody, at least in my circle, is really talking about how bad Virginia Tech is about to be for the next few years because they're gonna be really bad.
I don't know. I find it weird. I feel like teams, and maybe this has to do with the NIL budget and all the money that they're spending. Are they quicker to pull the plug on the head coach because of all the money they're
I think
spending now?
so, and now they're allowed to. Now these players are allowed to transfer because these teams no longer have coaches.
That's bad. Oh, so it's part of the clausing, you
Yeah,
mean,
yeah,
right?
basically, yeah.
See,
So Nico really wanted to, because the rumors are already flying around. He could transfer out of UCLA if he really wanted to.
uh, you don't see him doing that, though,
No
right?
way, no way. The quarterback market is full as it could possibly be.
I think he made a mistake. He turned the 8 down to 1.5. I mean, should have
I know,
just
and
kept the
now
8 million.
Tennessee's a top 15 team right now. So
But it makes me wonder: would they have been a top 15 team with him there?
I don't know. That's a good question.
So I don't know. I always find it interesting when college football coaches get fired now because does it have to do with money? Does it have to do with the pressure? Does it have to do with expectations?
Exactly. I just think at UCLA it just wasn't working. I mean,
Yeah,
and also too, if you look deeper into it, they hired Deshaun Foster in 72 hours after Chip Kelly left,
that's crazy.
which just
72
isn't
hours?
which just isn't it isn't very productive, if you will. Usually searches take weeks, sometimes a month. They did it in 3 days.
I mean, now that these guys are making NIL money, like, are they asking the players what they want as head coaches if someone gets fired?
I don't know that for a fact, but I wouldn't be surprised.
I don't know. I find it bizarre in this world of NIL. Like now, everything is controlled by the players, and everything is kind of run that way.
Right.
But I don't know. We'll see what happens. Staying in college, I know you wanted to go off on this. College game day goes to Miami at University of Florida.
I
Uh,
just don't get it. So you have Miami, who's undefeated, and more power to them. They're playing some good football right
Number
now.
4 team in the country.
You have, but you have Miami, who just beat South Florida, the same team that just beat Florida the week before, and now they're playing each other. And Florida's 1-2, and Miami's undefeated. There are 5 or 6 other games the College Game Day could have chose, but it's back to the same argument I gave you a week ago. If the broadcaster is not going to air the game, what's the point of them even going?
That's a good point. Now,
That's really all I want. And I'll let you go now, but that's really all I wanted to get out of it.
well, what I don't understand is, and maybe part of this has to do with which conferences air on certain networks. That's part of the issue or twist you could say that happens.
Well, this is an ACC SEC matchup.
But I'm just saying generally, sometimes there's certain networks that can't air certain conferences. So, like when people say, "Oh, well, this should have aired on Fox or this should have aired on ABC or ESPN," sometimes certain conferences are not contracted to certain networks.
Like, I just don't get it. Auburn, Oklahoma is right there. 2 ranked teams, both in the SEC, and College Game Day couldn't go there.
Well, that's the question I have because, like, when we talked about last week, when you said the matchups didn't make sense for College Game
No,
Day.
I'm saying that's one of those that actually does make sense.
No. I'm just talking about you said last week, like the matchup didn't make sense either.
No. Correct.
So I just don't get.
Well, that was for Big Noon. College Game Day actually was at a decent game this past week.
Right. But
yeah.
What confuses me sometimes is I thought that they pick the games for the year when they get the schedule. They don't do that?
No. It's only the first few weeks. No, that's not how it works.
Wouldn't that make people crazy though that they don't know what their viewing habits are going to be for college football though?
Yeah. But they do it every year to the point where people are just used to it at this point.
Because like you said to me, like with the Illinois games, like you kept saying to me, remember I asked you like, because we're trying to figure out some scheduling stuff for like your shows and stuff. And I said, well, what's going on in October? And you're like, oh, well, we don't know October yet. And I'm like, that seems frustrating to me, like as a fan. Like I can't plan past the month of September if I want to go somewhere.
Yeah, like speaking of scheduling updates, like Illinois USC.
I saw the 27th.
This Friday is going to be a week from this Saturday rather is going to be a big noon kickoff game.
Which we were trying to figure that out, right? If it was going to be either noon or 7:30, you had said.
Yeah, we were also trying to figure out the same thing for Ohio State, which we still don't know yet. That game, by the way, is October 11th.
But that's what my point is, though, that you can't look into October, so you can't plan past September if you really wanted to.
No, I know. I'm just excited that Urban Meyer, Rob Stone, Gus Johnson, and Joel Klatt are all coming to Champaign for the first time. That'll be cool for the USC game.
You might see Portnoy too.
Yeah, that would be cool. That would be a mob scene if he actually decided to show up.
Well, no, he will.
I'll be there anyway, regardless. But that would make it even crazier.
The only reason he didn't show up this past week is because he had the Pizza Fest that he does every year.
Mm-hmm, so, but he is going to the Utah game. This Saturday. Though he even asked people in Utah where the best pizza spot was.
I wonder if there's going to be a massive amount of security in Utah, though. If you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, good point.
Because the issues, obviously, with Charlie Kirk, all that stuff going on down there.
Yeah. Good point.
I think there's going to be a hell amount of security down there after all the occurrences happen. But I agree with you. I think they got the game wrong.
Do you think it should have been Oklahoma versus Auburn?
Oh yeah. Well, you're talking about 2 ranked teams.
Yeah, I mean, number 11 and 22.
Anything that's ranked in the top, if you have 2 ranked teams in the top 25, like they have to be on TV. They have to be nationally on TV. Like that's a no-brainer. Speaking
one more thing.
Yeah.
That's the only other game that they could have attended based on their contractual obligations that would have made sense. Because I just looked at the top 25 schedule, and that's the only one. Because they're not going to go to Notre Dame for the Purdue game. They're are not going to go to Bloomington for Indiana, Illinois. That would have been the only game.
Right. But speaking of no-brainers, and you were talking about this before, a certain team that's still ranked, Notre Dame, still ranked despite an 0-2 start. Johnny Montalbano is probably a little frustrated right now with his Notre Dame Fighting Irish
Oh, I
starting
bet.
0-2.
I just think it's crazy that they're still ranked. They clearly lose at home to Texas A&M, and they blow the game all by themselves, and yet they're still being rewarded as if they're somehow in the college football playoff discussion. They won 0 games. They're 0-2. How can
Now,
you reward a team that's 0-2? They shouldn't be ranked.
did you see the funny tweet that I sent in the Forever Power 5 chat from Brett McMurphy?
Yeah, I did. Which, by the way, that tweet that was intended as a joke is now looking even funnier after all this.
Now, I know the conferences. I don't know them as well as you do. I know them,
Well,
but
in case
what I
you
was
didn't know, Notre Dame is
no,
independent.
they're non-conference. I know. They're on their own technically, but my point is, I said to myself, this is funny that they're losing, they're not winning games, and they're talking about putting them in a conference. Like, what is that?
Right.
That doesn't make any sense. Now, I know McMurphy has a tendency to say some pretty dumb things from time to time. Like, he gets a weird reputation for saying dumb things from time to time. Do you think he does some of this stuff sometimes as like trying to like get under people's skin?
Well, that and he likes to spark debate.
He definitely did it. That's for sure.
He sure did. He
Um,
likes to kind of roll the bowling ball, if you will, and see if
if all
it
10
hits.
pins will fall over.
Yeah. With
Um,
almost every single thing he tweets too.
now they played what, Texas A&M.
Yeah, they lost 41-40. It was a great game.
Some people, and maybe you saw the outcome. Like, I was listening to Mad Dog Sports Radio the other night, and
I watched it. I watched the game. Yeah, what were you gonna ask?
Tom Byrne was saying that he thought somebody on Notre Dame got tackled and they missed a penalty because someone got completely taken out by Texas A&M.
It's true. They missed a penalty that would have extended the game. Yeah.
I mean, you can't say that they would have won or lost.
No. But it would have given them an automatic first down, though.
Okay, so then that was reality, that they missed a penalty.
Yeah. They did. He did. And they panned over to Mike Elko, who's the A&M coach on the sideline, and he literally just started laughing because he couldn't believe there was no flag.
Oh, so he even knew how egregious it was.
Yeah.
Now, does their schedule get easier or more difficult?
I think it gets a little easier. They play Purdue this week. That's a game that Notre Dame should win. They'll probably end up winning out because if you take a look at their schedule just briefly, they have Purdue with a new coach, and then after that, hang on, they have Arkansas, who's okay. They have Boise State, who's completely irrelevant. They'll win that game. They have NC State, who's decent. The big game, if they stay ranked, is going to be on October 18th when USC comes to South Bend.
Oh, man, that's going to be great.
If USC still has one loss, potentially to Illinois, which would be this ideal scenario. If they have one loss or if they are undefeated, that game becomes a big game. Then they play Boston College, Navy, Pittsburgh, and then, of course, they end the year with Syracuse at home and then Stanford on the road. Because every year that they play USC at home, they play Stanford on the road, and then obviously vice versa. So
is 2 losses death for them or no?
No, but they probably have to win out, and they have to hope other teams lose now because their only resume potential win is USC if USC remains ranked. But if they don't, then the big slight on them is they don't play any ranked teams the rest of the season.
So you're saying almost the schedule is too easy.
Yeah. Yeah. So
That's
they could go 10-2 and get in, but they would have to hope a ton of other stuff happens now because they've already lost their 2 big resume busters potentially in Miami and A&M. So
Okay. That's
But
interesting.
if they somehow shockingly lose to Purdue, which would be the biggest upset of the entire weekend, then they are definitely out at 0-3.
So you're saying their season is over if they go 0-3.
Oh, 100% so. 100%. They're like a 35-point favorite against Purdue. If they don't beat Purdue, something is seriously wrong.
Well, you're not talking about just beat. You're talking about beat and significant, right?
Correct. We're talking like 56 to 10 type of win.
Wow. Okay. So it can't just be wins. They could
No, no, no.
they put themselves in a hole now where they have to
They have to essentially annihilate teams to where the committee sees them as undeniable to make the playoffs.
that makes sense. Okay. Let's move on. We have one more story here. I found this interesting. I know you would too. So Field of 68 joins on 3. I'm assuming this partially has to do with Rivals and Yahoo and all that
Correct.
stuff.
Yep.
So I read this story a little bit. So Rivals announced Monday that the Field of 68 Media Network, a leading voice in college basketball, is joining its rapidly growing platform. The move brings some of the sport's most respected insiders' voices and in-depth analysis. I did not realize, by the way, that Jeff Goodman was one of the founders of Field of 68.
Yeah, he is.
Because I remember, this is going back a ways, but I remember when Jeff Goodman was a ESPN college insider and he was a CBS college insider, right?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realize this is his full venture now. Like this is his only project or no?
Field of 68 is basically all he does.
I mean, I heard it's become very popular for what he does.
Oh,
And
it's a huge podcast host platform, and there are some stories that go up, but they're mainly all they're doing what you always talk about, which is they're 95% digital and stuff.
yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
It's a huge thing. Like digital is important. Video is important. You and I have this conversation all the time, like between shows.
I think we have it too often almost because we're trying to figure out ways digitally to make things a little better.
Because writing, and no disrespect, you do really good writing for all the platforms that you do.
Yeah.
But writing is kind of going down the mountain, and digital is kind of going up the mountain. If that reference makes sense, hopefully.
Well,
But
yeah.
but the On Three is really good at what they do. I find they break more stories on the college side than I've ever seen, ever.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I don't know if you know, Jeff Goodman's reputation is not always great
No, it's
either.
not. He gets into fights with people sometimes.
I don't know if you saw the big blowout between him and Portnoy that happened,
That was crazy. That was so crazy.
where he basically said that Barstool is a terrible place and like he goes after women and Goodman took it to such an extreme that people were going after Jeff because he sometimes just like has biases towards places.
And he couldn't control himself.
He got unprofessional at some point, I think, didn't he?
Yeah, he did, unfortunately.
And that's kind of been his reputation for a little while at times. I kind of like though what Rivals and On Three and like Yahoo are doing. Like they're really building the college sports side, college football and college basketball, and having that deal with the Yahoo Sports TV, that new thing that they're doing as well. I told you, man. I said digital and video is the future of the business we live in, and like writing is great. Don't get me wrong; it's a skill that a lot of people don't have, and if you can write, I feel like you can take the next step and do the video and the digital too. Because when you can write, you can put thoughts to video much faster that way. So I think this is a tremendous thing. It's going to change the way the industry goes for college coverage. And I don't know. What do you think about this overall as a whole?
I think it's a positive for my industry for sure. And I mean, I hope one day, I don't know if it'll be with them or it'll be with somebody else, but I think they're going to start a revolution where a lot of these companies, no particular companies mentioned because I
Right.
can't think of any at the moment,
Right.
but I feel like some of these companies are gonna eventually ditch their websites or most of them to do what the Field of 68 and On 3 are doing now.
I think you said that 100% correct just now, where you said like this, a lot of these networks and companies are ditching their sites. By the way, behind the curtain here, we had a website. What did I say in the long run about the website? It just was not going to work.
Well, I was the one who brought it to you that I didn't think it was working.
Well, generally though, we like you brought it to me, and then we all made a decision that it just was not doing what we could focus on 3 or 4 videos a week and really build a digital presence over a written
Right,
presence.
because if you think about all the content that I do outside of these shows, most of it is made for social media. You know that.
It's already made, like, and you can use it 2 3 times over
Mhm.
sometimes for certain things because you can
Right.
collect, because
And
now
you
with
and you can
collabs,
cross-post it, across multiple shows,
right,
which is what I do every single week.
right, and
So,
you can't really do that with writing,
no,
unfortunately.
no, you can't.
So that's kind of where this goes. But I think we're going to stop there because we went way, way over the time. But I think we had some good stories this week, so it was worth putting the timing together
I
for
think
the
so.
show.
Well, I think so too, and hopefully, next week after I officially turn 26, maybe we can have some birthday superlatives to kick off episode 289 before we
Yeah,
get into the nuts and bolts of what's going to be a crazy second half in September. But I'm going to let you take the lead from here.
yeah, no, we definitely can. We will. We'll bring that up. I think maybe when we start next episode, maybe we'll talk about the journey a little bit, so to speak.
Okay,
How
I'm
we,
I'm, I'm looking forward to that.
because it's been what, 3 years now, I would say. Uh,
Three years in like a month, yeah, since I started doing all this stuff.
So we'll explore some journey of that next episode. We can talk about kind of the ups, the downs, the changes that we've taken this network to in a different way. And now that we're really moving with stuff, we have a new sportsbook deal starting next week, which is going to help us grow to a different level.
Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to all of it, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing what we can do with this show since I've been brought on as the new co-host for the show, and it's a show that I've been interested in a while. So to see that the slot is opened up for me to do it, I think it was going to be a natural fit anyway, and
Yeah.
and and I know you know this, but thank you for welcoming me with open arms because I knew this was going to happen at some point, though.
Well, this is what you and I do when we weren't even on a show at times anyway. So it made sense to do it on a show because you and I would talk everything anyway off air.
Right?
So
Exactly.
it kind of made sense. But that'll do it for episode 288. Make sure you follow us on YouTube, youtube.com/ETB Network. Subscribe. We're at 1,020 subscribers. So we hit our threshold. Come to our channel, watch. The quicker you watch, the quicker we hit the watch hours, the quicker we can get those monetizations and those deals. We can bring more content and more ideas to this network because I have quite a few ideas I would like to start working on as well. So make sure you subscribe and you watch youtube.com/ETB Network. If you can't watch on the video site, listen to Empty the Bench wherever you get your podcast. That's all platforms, everywhere that gives audio. And Empty the Bench is presented by Playback and the whole network presented by Playback, playback.tv/ETB Network. We have a massive guest coming up on Press Row this week, which I'm looking forward to. If you remember Casey Stern, actually, if you've heard that name before, we are going to have him on Press Row. And we have your shows up, obviously, this week. Zanzinger Part 2, again on Saturday, or on Sunday, excuse me. And a bunch of other stuff as well. So make sure you catch us, playback.tv/ETB Network. So for Zain Bando, I'm Nick Morgasen. This has been episode 288. We will see you next week for episode 289. Have a good week, everybody.